So I've been getting hit up a lot about doing my podcast and going back to doing my podcast, starting my podcast again. And my thing was always, I gotta go to the studio. I gotta do the podcast at the studio. But you know what? You could do a podcast wherever you at. As long as you got the tools and the materials you need and you, then that's all you need. So here I am with another episode. Welcome to Fitted for a King podcast. I am your host, Jamel Brown, aka Mr. Fitted for a King, aka Mr. 24 hours in a day. Get it done. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We back again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for watching. Everybody who been rocking with me over the time, following me, listening to me talk. I definitely appreciate you guys. And I'm here again, man, with with a great topic, with a great conversation. And, all I could do is hope that you understand me. And if you don't, that's your business. But anyway, so I want to holler at you guys. Really want to talk about, black men in relationships, right? And some of the trials and tribulations and things that we go through mentally in relationships, you know what I'm saying? And how we stay faithful for those of us who do, right? I mean, if you let some people tell it, black men don't cheat, right? But I think we both know that if the lie detector test determined that is a lie, right? But there are some black men out here who we really don't cheat. But I just want y'all to know it wasn't always like that. I don't know. Well, let me say this because I also don't want to get anybody in trouble. But I don't know any black men who's never cheated before. You know what I'm saying? I do know some faithful black men now, currently, but I don't know any black men off the top of my head. I don't know of any black men who's never cheated before, right? So it's been through my experience, my own personal experience with myself, and also talking to other black men, like, we've all been to that place before of infidelity and, everything that comes with that, right? However, we put in a lot of time, effort, and energy and work. We put in a lot of work, right, to get to the point where we are right now, where we no longer feel, we do sometimes feel the urge, right? We're men, that comes natural, right? We're men, we're chasers, we're very visual, we're visual, you know what I'm saying? So every time we see a woman and we find her attractive or whatever, it goes from looking at her assets to her face, or her face to her assets. And, then you start, if you allow yourself, you start conjuring up other thoughts and things of that nature. And that's how you end up getting in trouble, right? But, through the work, you eventually get to a point to where you're not controlled by those things anymore. Right. And that's really what I want to discuss with you guys today, because I'm going to share my personal struggles and my personal experience versus and where I was at versus where I'm at today and how I got here. All right. So first and foremost, growing up, I don't know that I ever experienced a man who did not cheat. Right. I didn't know what it meant for a man to be in a completely faithful and 100% committed relationship, right? First and foremost, my first line of defense, my pops, he had 7 children. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to get into the specific details of that, but, he was a Rolling Stone, needless to say. So that was my first line of defense, right? So that's what I first seen, experience from a man and how he acted, you know what I'm saying? So, okay. So I go from seeing that. And then, of course, my peers and even some of the older guys that was around me, I'm saying, don't get me wrong, there was some stand-up dudes who had good heads on their shoulders. However, they was doing their thing. What I mean by doing their thing was they had multiple women. You know what I mean? So growing up in a black neighborhood, if that's all you're seeing, then more than likely that's what you're going to become. You know what I mean? So for me, I think that's where it started, right? Not having a black man around me who showed me what being a faithful, committed man, 100% committed to his woman, what that looks like. I didn't grow up seeing that. So this is something that I had to learn how to be over time and on my own, right? So it started there. So then obviously as I grew up, you know, I'm moving in similar ways. You know what I'm saying? I'm here, I'm there, I'm dipping in and out. I'm in this relationship, then I'm not. I'm in the next relationship, then I'm not. I'm mixing the two. I might be dealing with moving on to this person, but still dealing with this person and things of that nature. Just moving in a way that was very irresponsible. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of things that I did not know, right? There's just a lot of things that I didn't know. I didn't really understand, like, chemistry. I didn't understand body fluids. I didn't understand, you know, ways to communicate and know that I can be completely honest about how I feel. And if she decided to still be with me, cool. If not, cool. I got to move on. You know what I'm saying? These are not things that I learned until I got older. And through trial, tribulation, through experience, right? That's how we learn, through experience. To know something is to either have experienced it or to have learned it, right? Like from a book, through class sessions or whatever. So I didn't know how to be faithful. I didn't know how to be committed. I had never done it before. I didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't learn it. You know what I mean? But over time, once again, I was able to get myself to that space. So I'm gonna just tell you how I eventually got to this space, right? So back in 2017, right? I'm with my daughter's mom, and we going through our stuff or whatever. I'm being who I was back then. First time being a dad. My daughter was born in 2015, right? So first time being a dad, never did that before, didn't know, you know, how to handle certain situations, didn't know how to handle what I was dealing with at that time. I was in a space where I didn't want to lose myself because I had a child, right? So because I didn't want to lose myself, I'm still trying to do everything that I was doing before I had my daughter. You know what I'm saying? I still want to go to the gym every day or 5 times a week. I still want to play basketball 1 or 2 days out of the week. And then, you know, every once in a while, I still want to chill with the fellas. I still want to chill with the homies. You know what I mean? But while I'm trying to do that, I'm not giving my daughter's mom, the time that she needed to herself, right? Because I didn't know about postpartum depression and how that really affects women and how that really affects moms, right? So, you know, I'm so stuck in my own head and stuck in my own self and stuck in my own way that I'm not seeing how it's affecting her, right? So needless to say, that led to our demise in 2017, right? We ended up having a super big fight, super big argument. And, you know, my thought process was just like, you know what? You know, I'm done. Like, I'm not dealing with this no more. I'm thinking like, oh, she not built for this and da-da-da-da. Like, she don't really want this and da-da-da-da. Like, it's all about, you know, I'm blaming her and I'm looking at her and what she said and what she did and she left and, you know, things of that nature. Like, I was, you know, I think what it came down to is I was hurt. You know what I'm saying? I was hurt because she left. You know what I mean? Like, we could have still been together, but she left. You know, she had came down here from Atlanta and we were together. So the moment, you know, when the moment we didn't work out, she went back to Atlanta, which, you know, thinking about it, it makes complete sense, right? Like, everybody, her comfort zone is there. Her family is there. Her support system is there. So why would she stay here? You know what I'm saying? If we not going to be together, if we not working out, if she no longer feels like she's being protected emotionally, you know what I'm saying? Physically, emotionally, mentally by me, you know, why would she stay here? You know what I'm saying? So she ended up leaving. I understand that now. Back then I was in my own way. So, all right. So she left and I'm in my mind, like I said, I'm like, yo, you know what? It is what it is. Like, she left, I'm out. I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even want to really try to put in the work to really try to fix it. You know what I mean? Because that, honestly, that's what I was accustomed to. I was accustomed to when something is not working for me anymore, I'm out. If it don't work, I'm out. If I don't agree with it, if I feel like this ain't something that I agree with, or this ain't something that's working with what I want in life and what I want to do, I'm out. I'm flattened. You know what I'm saying? And that was a terrible way of thinking. Whenever you're in a relationship, if you're committed to that person, if you're committed to the relationship, you're committed to everything that comes with it. You know what I mean? Which means if y'all gonna have a falling out or whatever, things is not working out, you communicate and you figure out how it could possibly work out. You know what I'm saying? You communicate, you know, how you feel and your thoughts, and she communicates how she feels and her thoughts, and then you guys figure out if y'all can move forward. You know what I'm saying? Because understand something. When you're in a relationship, it's not you versus that person. Whenever y'all get into an argument, it's not you versus them. It's not them versus you. It's you plus them versus what the issue is. So now y'all have to come together to figure out, okay, how are we gonna fix that problem? All right, because you and I are on the same team. We play for the same team. So we need to work together to figure out a solution to that problem. That's how relationships should be, right? But once again, that's something I didn't learn until later on. So go back, 2017, this is like the end of 2017, like we going into 2018, right? Once again, relationship ended. I'm thinking I'm done, right? As the days go by, I started thinking like, am I making the right decision? Like I started thinking about my daughter, obviously. I started thinking about my daughter's mom. And, you know, it's not like I didn't love her. You know what I'm saying? I definitely loved her. I loved her deeply. I cared about her deeply. I just was in my own way at that time. But like I said, I started thinking, is this something that I really want, right? Is this something that I really want to do? Do I really want to end this relationship this way? So, mind you, all this time, I don't know what she's going through on her end. Had no idea. We were barely talking outside of Emery, my daughter. We were barely speaking, right? So it was, if we talked, it was really about Emery, right? So I don't know everything that she's dealing with on her end, right? All I know is what's going on in my head. All I'm caring about at the time, selfishly, is what's going on my end. So, okay, once again, questioning if I made the right decision. So I said, you know what? I need to pray on this. I need to really take this time to really pray on this situation to figure out if I'm making the right decision. So here's what I did. I decided to fast for 3 days, right? I don't know if you're familiar with fasting, but if not, definitely look into it. Fasting helps give you clarity, right? It helps you get a clearer mind because you're not focused. I fasted with food. Let me say that more specifically. I fasted off of food. So I didn't eat for 3 days, right? A period of 72 hours, I did not have food. Strictly water. That's it. Like, no food, no juice, no sodas, none of that. Water. So I did that for 3 days, right? And during that time period, what happened was, because I wasn't focused on food, right? It was giving me a clearer mind to think about the things that I really needed to be thinking about. Because what we don't realize a lot of times, what we do on a daily basis, the things that we focus on the most, that's what consumes us the most. That's where our thoughts are the most, right? So me deciding to fast from food, it gave me a clear way of thinking. So I was able to focus more on whether or not I was making the right decision. And during this whole time, I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm praying to God, and I'm asking for clarity. I'm asking him specific questionings, and I'm getting answers now, right? So what started to happen was I started thinking about the role that I played in everything. What did I do to get us to this point? It no longer was about what she did, what she said. Everything was about me and what I was doing and what I was saying. Everything that I did that got us to that point. And when I did that, my God, my God, my God, everything just started coming to the forefront. Like everything that was back here that I forgot about came up here. And it was heavy. And I was like, and I just had it like, damn, I was really wilding. I mean, things I said, things I did, how I was acting, everything about me wanting my time and not wanting to lose myself, and the postpartum, and how I was at work. I had been at work for 14. I mean, I'd be at work for 14 hours. Come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to the gym, come back, go back to work. All this time she's home with the baby. In 2000, what's that, 15? I think it was 2015. We had a major snowstorm and I was at work for days. Like I'm talking about, I went to work, we got snowed in, I couldn't leave. We was on 24-hour shifts, 16 on, 8 hours off, but it was whole 24 hours round the clock for the whole weekend. So I couldn't go home. Even if I was to try to go home, I couldn't because the streets, everything was blocked off. The snow was crazy. She was at home the entire weekend with the baby. The baby had a fever. Right? And I could not get home. And the baby is crying. The baby is aggy. She don't want to go to sleep. And my daughter's mom just had her the whole weekend just dealing with that. And this is, things like that is what she was dealing with throughout, because once again, I would have 14-hour days where I would be gone for 16 hours, come home, go to sleep, wake up, go to the gym, come back, go back to work, do it all over again. You know what I'm saying? So all of this started coming to the forefront and I'm just like, wow. Ultimately, what it brought me to was accountability. It brought me to accountability. Being able to hold myself accountable for my role in everything, for my actions, not paying attention to what she did. Because in most situations in relationships, in many cases, a woman is responding to something a man did or a man said, right? We control and create the narrative of the relationship and how it's going to go, right? Naturally, women are going to follow whatever narrative you as the man create. Naturally, they're going to follow, right? So she was responding to a lot of the things that I was saying and a lot of things that I was doing and a lot of things that I wasn't doing, because she needed me to show up for her in a certain way and I wasn't. So once I was able to hold myself accountable to that, okay, that's when I started moving differently. And ultimately, that's when I was able to grow up. And, not to get through that whole process and everything, because, once I realized that, I tried to fix things, but it was too late. She had already checked out. She had already made a decision to check out. I tried for a little while. I'm not going to act like I put 120% into it, but I did try. But I realized that over time and time, continuously trying to get us back, I realized that she just wasn't there anymore. Right. So I had to eat that. I had to take that loss. And it was humbling, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not something that I was accustomed to. I wasn't accustomed to, whenever I would try to get back, I always was able to get back. That's what I was used to. So the fact that I wasn't able to, that was humbling for me. That was really humbling for me. But ultimately, once again, all of that piled up together is what made me into the better man that I am today, right? Being able to hold myself accountable, understanding that as men, we control and create the narrative. Whatever you put into the relationship is what she's going to give you in return. That's saying when they say, you give a woman a house, she's gonna make it a home. You pretty much, you invest certain things into a woman, you're gonna get back something in abundance. I think that's true. Because if you might get with a woman who never wanted to be in a relationship, or at that point in time, she never wanted to be in a relationship, but because of how you're presenting yourself to her and how you're leading, right? She's allowing herself to be vulnerable in that way. Naturally, she's going to submit to you. Naturally. It's almost like she doesn't even have a choice in the matter. Naturally, she's going to submit to you because of the type of man that you are and the way that you're leading. So understand that, fellas. What you put into the relationship is what you're going to get in return. If you're lying, if you're being deceitful, if you're not being 100% honest, if you're not being 100% vulnerable, eventually, even if it doesn't start out this way, eventually she's going to reciprocate that. She's going to reciprocate that. And I'm not one for the double standards that says it's okay for a man to cheat and have multiple women, but it's not okay for the women. I'm not a man that believes that. I'm not. I believe you get out of the relationship from your woman what you put into it. So if you're lying, if you're being deceitful, if you want to be with multiple women, at some point she's going to reciprocate that energy. If you're not communicating, right? I always tell people, over communicate in your relationship. Even when you feel like it's not necessary, do it anyway. Because you never know what the other person is thinking. Right? And then when you communicate, ask them, how did you interpret what I just said? Because sometimes it's not only communication, but it's interpretation. Because you could say, the sky is beautiful. Man, it's nice out there today. And because you said that, she automatically assumed that the sun is out. Mind you, it's cloudy. But you just like, yo, it's beautiful outside. Like, you didn't say it was sunny. You didn't say it was cloudy. You didn't say it looked like it's going to rain. You ain't going to say it's a pool day. You ain't say none of that. All you said is a beautiful day outside. And in her mind, she heard you say the sun was out. But that's not what you said, right? So you have to over communicate. And then you have to ask them how they interpreted what you said so that y'all could be on the same page. All right. So ultimately, what I need you guys to take from this is, enough men don't talk about, how we can be faithful in a relationship. What it's like being in a fully committed relationship. It's not easy. It's not easy. Me not cheating, that doesn't mean I don't get the urge. That doesn't mean when I see women, sometimes I don't want to test that out just to see if I could get it. You know what I'm saying? But even things like that, you have to be mindful of, because like I said, you get what you put in. So if you're doing things and you're playing games like that, eventually your woman is going to reciprocate that energy, right? Then you got to be mindful of, well, you playing with somebody. You testing that out, but you're playing with the person that she might really be interested in you. And you just doing it to see if you still got it. Meanwhile, you're hurting her self-esteem because you're never going to call her. These are things we got to think about. It's not just about you, King. It's not just about you. You create and control the narrative. You control the energy around you. What you put into your relationship, what you put into the universe is what you're going to receive in return. And also you got to think about, you have daughters. If you have daughters, right? That energy that you putting out there, they may receive it in a negative way. And then if you have sons that's watching your every move, now all you doing is continuing the cycle. You continuing the cycle. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not a day that goes by that I don't, I'd be lying if I say that I didn't have some type of regrets when it comes to my relationship with my daughter's mother, because here we are, we have another woman, another black woman who's a single mom. You know what I'm saying? That's never what I wanted for my life. That's never what I wanted for her life. That's never what I wanted for my daughter. You know what I'm saying? But it was my actions and my decisions that ultimately brought us there. So I have to live with that for the rest of my life. I have to live with that for the rest of my life. And that's not a comfortable feeling, right? So knowing that, I take that everywhere I go. And I took that into the relationship that I'm currently in. And I'm not going to make the same mistakes that I made in that relationship in this one. So ultimately, what have we taken from this video? Accountability. Accountability. All right, fellas, you have to be able to hold yourself accountable. There are no victims in this life. There are not many victims, I should say, in this life. There are some exceptions. There are some things that happen to people sometimes and they are victims. But when it comes to relationships, what you get out of a relationship, what you put into a relationship, what you receive in return, you're not a victim. You got to look at self. You got to look at self. You have to understand the role that you played in all of this. You have to understand the role that you played in all of it. When you're able to do that, that alone will make you a better man, because you'll start to recognize the mistakes that you made and you'll decide, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that again. Is being committed, 100% committed in a relationship hard? It can be. It has its moments. It has its times, right? Sometimes, I might have thoughts like, yeah, I want to revert back to the old me. I don't want to care as much. I don't want to be vulnerable. Well, I'm angry, whatever. I don't want to deal with this. But if you're committed to the relationship, then you have to go, you have to go through all of that. And you have to make a conscious decision every single day to be 100% committed. A conscious decision. You can't just go with the flow and just go through the motions and think that everything is going to go smooth and everything is going to be okay. No, you have to be conscious about the decisions that you're making. I'm with my woman because I choose to be. Every single day. I choose to be 100% committed in this relationship. Once again, not easy, but nothing worth it was meant to be easy. All right. The whole point of this episode really was I always hope to help someone, because as men, we don't talk about this stuff a lot. Like, we don't really talk about what it's like to be in a fully committed relationship and actually being in a fully committed, faithful relationship, right? I'm going to be honest with y'all. Being in a fully committed relationship, 100%, the hardest thing in a relationship is not being faithful. Being faithful is not the hardest part. It's not. The hardest part is communicating constantly, over communicating, interpretation, constantly, repeating yourself over and over again, constantly. If you're in a relationship with, if children are involved, that could be very difficult. Just, we're different. I am who I am. She is who she is. We have two different ways of thinking. Do we agree on some things? Absolutely. Do we disagree on some things? Absolutely. That comes with being in a relationship. And that can be difficult, especially depending on the type of person that you are. So being truly 100% faithful is not the most difficult part of a relationship. And you will see that once you get in the relationship. Being faithful is like, is a little further down on the list. Trust me. You start talking about finances and, who's going to be responsible for what and who's paying for what and cooking and who's going to clean and who's going to listen. It gets very, very tricky. It could get very, very tricky. All right. Especially when you decide to move in and you get a closer look at the person that you're dealing with. That may not be what you signed up for. But guess what? You made a 100% commitment to be 100% committed in that relationship. So you got to stay true to your word. You got to stay true to who you are. All right. It's tough. It's tough. You're going to have some good days. You're going to have some not so good days. You may even have some bad days, right? Right? But if you stay truly committed, I think you could really see some benefits out of it. Even if y'all don't stay together for the long haul, you're going to grow. You're going to grow. At minimal, whenever you're in a relationship, you should experience growth. When you walk away, you should never walk away from a relationship with absolutely nothing. You should walk away with that relationship with growth. You should walk away a better person than how you showed up. All right. So even if your relationship doesn't work out, as long as you know that you gave it your 100% all, you was truly in and you was truly committed, as long as you know that, you could walk away from that relationship knowing that you did your best. Right? And you could walk away from that relationship with growth. All right? I hope you understand me, man. I really appreciate you, staying and watching this whole video. I know it could be lengthy, you know what I'm saying? But I hope it was worth it. I really hope you took something from it. And share it, man. Share it. Like, if you learned something from it, please let me know. Leave it in the comments. If you agreed or disagreed with something, leave it in the comments. Whatever. I'm okay either way. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's not going to agree. Some people may, some people may not. It's okay. Everybody's situation is different, right? But once again, appreciate you for checking in. Make sure you come back. I'm going to try to do, more episodes more often. I might do one like once a month, you know what I mean? Just to, give this episode some room to breathe and, people to really, get into it instead of constantly putting out more and more and more. Like, this podcast is for the black man, man. I really want to try to help us. And even in me doing this, it's not just, me helping you guys. I'm helping myself, speaking about certain things. It's kind of, I'm letting it out. I'm getting it off. It's kind of a form of therapy. You know what I'm saying? Which is also, I forgot to mention, that's also something that helped me out major was therapy. One of my best friends, she been my therapist since I was 21 years old, and we still rocking. I owe a lot of my growth to her. And then I've had other therapists along the way who also helped me out in a lot of ways. One of the things I learned from my most recent therapist is to be kind to yourself. He told me, he said, yo, you got to be kind to yourself, man. Like, don't put yourself in situations with women that's going to ultimately hurt you in the long run. You got to know who you are, know what you come with, know what you want, know what you don't want, know your boundaries. If you have to ask the right questions. Don't get caught up by the physical aspects of a woman. That's just the top layer. That's just the top layer. You got to peel that back and see what's really going on in here and what's really going on in here. Right? If not, you're just going to end up in the same situation that you've been in. Right? And that's another thing that I had to grow through. Right? Stop putting yourself in the same situation that you've been in. My thing was always going back, moving back. But like Gary Vee said, stop looking back. That shit'll hurt your neck. And that's real shit. I had to learn how to be kind to myself. And I learned that through therapy. But once again, I'm not going to keep talking your head off. Please follow me. Follow the podcast, Fitted for a King podcast. I got other pages. I got my clothing page, Fitted for a King. I got a fitness page. Mr. 24 hours in a day, get it done. You know what I mean? Like I said, like, comment, share. Let's get this word out, man. I'm trying to help as many people as I can, man. And I need your help. Can't do it by myself. It's a community, right? All right. Once again, appreciate you for watching. Until next time, 24 hours in a day, no matter what you do, get it done. Yeah.